speaking of COVID, let's talk about the Green Bay Packers when they have the football, because Aaron Rodgers won't have Davante Adams and he won't have Alan Lazard. And you may have noticed the clip of Matt LaFleur, the Packers coach, talking about guys making personal choices. And, some of the talking points that we heard back during training camp and preseason when some teams were going through this issue of having unvaccinated players. But this is what happens if you're not vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated and you are a close contact with someone who tests positive, you're out for 5 days. If you're vaccinated and you're a close contact with someone who tests positive, you're not out 5 days. You're not out 1 day. You're not out 5 minutes.
Right.
And this is where that quote that Michael Irvin had at one point in the run-up to the season, where it's a competitive advantage, and if you really want to win, you get vaccinated. What are you waiting for? Why don't you do it? Millions are doing it. Go do it, because if you don't do it, you're hurting your team. And It just shows you how strongly people feel. That's where I ultimately got to, Chris. It shows you how strongly the people who don't want to get vaccinated feel about it, if they are willing to undermine their ability to play football and also undermine the interest of their team to try to win games. Alan Lazard would have been the top option tonight.
No doubt
about it. The Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
He's missing an opportunity to play in prime time, and I don't know if he had some epiphany. He's like, wow, I better get vaccinated now, or if he's just sitting there somewhere thinking, I don't care. I knew that this was a risk when I said I wasn't getting vaccinated.
Yeah, well, I don't know. If he doesn't care, I mean, his checkbook's going to care at some point. I mean, it is. I mean, you explained it right. First off, they've been so Davante Adams heavy throughout the whole season. Last week was the first time, he didn't dominate the stat line for their offense. And Alan Lazard, kind of got into a groove to what we saw, a little bit at the end of last year and things like that, where he was a part of the offense. He's big. He can run pretty well. He's pretty dependable going over the middle. He's a one-on-one kind of mismatch on the outside because of his size. So to not have Davante Adams, we know that's horrible. But then no Alan Lazard on top of that. Yeah, I mean, the options are getting thin there as far as, guys you're going to trust in one-on-one matchups and key situations against one of the better defenses in football, one of the defenses that's more creative and complicated, one of the top ones in that category as well. So, hey, it stinks for him personally. It stinks for the Packers. It stinks for all of us because it does take away from the game. You want to see these teams at their best, and we're not going to see Green Bay quite at their best tonight. That's for sure.
He does get paid, even though he's on COVID-19 reserve, but where it affects him financially is this was an opportunity.
Exactly. That's what I was going to. Right,
and
right.
I want to make sure people understand that.
Good.
This is your chance to step up.
Right.
And especially if Davante Adams is going to leave via free agency after the season in search of the payday that the Packers have yet to give him.
Right.
They got to turn to somebody else. And this was the chance. And Alan Lazard was going to be, I think will be a restricted free agent after the season.
Okay, right.
And then he's got one more year after that before unrestricted free agency. But this hurts him financially. And again, I don't know whether he is sitting there saying, I don't care, I knew the risk and I accepted it, or whether he's having one of those moments where he's saying, oh, crap, I had no idea that it could end this way. But I doubt that it's the latter, because people were working on these players to get vaccinated, making them understand not just the science of it and the benefit of it to themselves, their family, and their community, but also their football benefit to it. But it just shows you how dug in. It's counter to everything we've ever believed about football, where you do what your team wants you to do. You do what your coach wants you to do. And the fact that Matt LaFleur takes a hands-off approach to it just shows that he knows that he's going to do more harm than good to the team by pushing the guys who aren't vaccinated, because they're hell-bent on not getting vaccinated, and you're just going to undermine your relationship with them and you're standing in the locker room if you push those guys too hard.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. A coach has got to walk a fine line when it comes to that conversation. I think a coach early in a lot of those times, you inform, you try to encourage a little bit, but, you don't want to be like the evil dictator that's like, get vaccinated or else. yeah, that's going to make guys in the locker room resent you, even some of the guys that are vaccinated and are believing the message. What you hope to do is inform, encourage, and then hope the locker room kind of takes over and he feels the pressure within the locker room and the players and the wide receiver room who might push him down that road a little bit more. That's what you hope for as a coach. But I think all coaches have kind of taken that approach because, yeah, to your point, they don't want to disrupt players, make them mad, seem like they're trying to control their lives. I mean, these are grown men. We know that, even though a lot of them are young men. And it is a tough thing for head coaches because I'm sure they want to pull their hair out and be a little bit dictatorish when it comes to this thing. But we know it's easier or harder said than done, that's for sure.
I had a thought.
Yeah.
And for fear of irking, angering, frustrating Aaron Rodgers, I do have to say this because we say the things that other people think. Why hasn't Aaron Rodgers talked the guy into doing it? Why hasn't his, where's he on this?
Yeah.
Like, I suspect Tom Brady twisted a few arms to help the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get to 100% vaccination,
right,
or injected a few needles into arms himself.
Right.
Like the parent is like, just shut up, come over here, sit down, you're getting your vaccine. I could see Tom Brady being very forceful about it because he understands that it helps the team. He's not going to want to lose Chris Godwin on a day before a big game against the Saints or anybody else. So, and I'm just throwing out Chris Godwin's name, but let's just say there's a key receiver on that team who was unvaccinated. Brady goes to him and says, get it done. I'd love to know what, if any, conversations were had between the leader of the team, the real leader of the team, Aaron Rodgers, and his receivers to get them vaccinated, especially Alan Lazard, knowing how important he is to the team in the event that one of the guys tests positive. I'm just curious about that. I'm not saying I'm not passing judgment on Aaron Rodgers for failing to do it.
Right.
All I'm saying is Tom Brady, and we don't know the backstory, but it's entirely possible he was directly involved in getting some guys who were reluctant to go ahead and get vaccinated.
Well, I mean, listen, he's the general. We know that, certainly. And he does seem to be the guy, guys are following down. There's a little different culture in Tampa Bay as compared to Green Bay. I mean, Bruce Arians is the kind of guy who can be like, he can kind of talk stern but not be a dictator. He's kind of got a really magical way that way, Mike. I mean, I think we both would agree with that, where he can probably throw out some 4-letter words and kind of say in a way, you're stupid if you don't get vaccinated, and kind of make the room chuckle, but then be like, no, you're stupid if you don't get vaccinated, and like gets the point across. And hey, Tampa seems to be in a mode, ever since the midway point of last year, that it doesn't matter. They feel like they got something special. They're not going to let anything mess it up, and they're going to go forward. And that's why they're the champs and, arguably the best team in football right now. I would think, again, Aaron Rodgers nudged people that way, but yeah, again, he's going to walk the fine line a little bit too. You don't want to be that jerk that's forcing people to do things they don't want to do. But stinks nonetheless. Stinks because, man, I mean, hey, this is where the game is interesting to me. The Packers are good. We know that, right? I mean, they're certainly one of the top teams in football. I'm going to be one that's going to tell you, just like, I'm not sure how good they are. I'm not. I don't know if, like, they're necessarily what I look at as the top team in the NFC. The Packers, like, if I had to boil it down a little bit, and what stinks that they're not going to be at full speed tonight here and full health, is just that, they really rely on execution. They do. They kind of play a style of football right now is where it's like, we're going to execute. We're not going to mess the game up. You'll mess up at one point. We'll get an extra possession, and we'll get a field goal or touchdown, and then you'll kind of be playing catch-up from there. That's how they play. I mean, it's not a top 10 offense, anything of that nature. They're not incredibly explosive with big plays. And then, you add on the fact with the defense, hey, the defense is good. I don't know how good, though. I still got question marks about it. Yeah, they execute. But, that they've been fortunate, in my opinion, a little bit not to play a lot of great offenses yet in football. I know they played the 49ers. I don't think we're ready to call them a great offense. And let's not forget, at the end of the first half, all the way and to the end of the game, Green Bay couldn't stop San Francisco from that point on. They made some stops early on. So that's my worry for Green Bay tonight. Hey, execution.
And they don't have Joe Barry tonight.
Right.
And they don't have Joe Barry tonight. The defensive coordinator.
So execution's great, and against the teams, the middle class and the lower class of football. But now you're playing a team that they execute really well too. Maybe not quite at your level, but they got more talent all over the field. They got superstars all over the field in Arizona. Everybody's going to know these guys' names starting tonight because of the national TV game, and by the end of the season, everyone's going to go, damn, Budda Baker, damn, Byron Murphy, damn, Chandler Jones, damn, Isaiah Simmons, whoa, Zaven Collins. Who's this rookie Marco Wilson at corner? Who's this 34 Thompson that's flying around? And I didn't even get to the offense yet. I mean, that's where
we will.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying here. That's where it's just I think Green Bay's undermatched as is going into this game, and now they don't have some players to go along with it, and that's going to make things tough.
The receivers they do have tonight, Randall Cobb, Amari Rodgers, Equanimeous St. Brown, Malik Taylor, and there's hope that Marquez Valdez-Scantling will be available to return from injury. He's made the trip. We'll see if he can be activated and play. He spent some time on injured reserve. They have Aaron Jones as well, who can do a lot in the passing game.
No doubt.
Aaron Rodgers relies on Robert Tonyan, or the guy he calls Bobby from time to time. It's still Aaron Rodgers. We showed the graphic yesterday. They're 6-0 without Davante Adams.
Yeah.
So they find ways to win these games, and the notion I think is very legitimate. And Vance Joseph, the Cardinals defensive coordinator, made this point. You take out Davante Adams, it's a tougher offense to figure out because you have to cover the other people because the ball's not constantly going to one guy.
That is the advantage Green Bay has. I'm sure Vance Joseph would rather be like a little bit like, man, Davante Adams is really good, but I got a little bit better tells on what they're going to do in situations because they're going to feature him so aggressively in everything they do. Yeah, so that is the one thing that plays in Green Bay's advantage is that they're going to have to go to parts of the playbook that they haven't had to go to all year long. And now Arizona is going to go, damn, I don't know what they're about to do to us. Hey, when it gets down to this, like we saw a little last year, they got into play action passes a little bit more, the boot game, the tight ends came into play a little bit more. And, you described it yesterday with Alan Lazard, I think, in the Saints game. That's where he popped without Davante Adams. Well, hopefully Valdez-Scantling can be that guy because, with the group they have out there tonight, if they don't have Valdez-Scantling, I just don't know who's going to scare you, who's going to back Arizona off. Arizona's aggressive and kind of crazy on defense. If you don't back them off a little bit, you could be in for a tough day. And that's where, they got an advantage a little bit because you don't know how they're going to attack, but they still don't have, weapons that scare you. And Valdez-Scantling can at least supply that a little bit if he's healthy and ready to go.
I had a theory / hypothesis. I'm never quite sure when the hypothesis becomes a theory. I guess it's more of a hypothesis yesterday on PFTPM that the ball goes to Davante Adams so much because even if he's not open, Aaron Rodgers is so damn accurate, he can get it to the one spot where he can make the catch, even if he's otherwise covered. And that may be why it skews toward him because he trusts him more to make the catch. And he's going to deliver the ball so damn accurately, it doesn't matter if he is covered.
Yeah.
And do you see merit to that? And does that give you hope that he can deliver the ball to these other guys who may otherwise be covered? The question is, can they catch it when it comes in through that little pinhole of an opening where they've got to, get their hands on the ball and secure it against their body and hang on because they're probably going to take a hit not long after the ball gets there.
I trust, Randall Cobb for that matter, but after that, that's where I get into, I'm not sure, Equanimeous St. Brown, no, it's not proven enough for me to sit here and go, oh yeah. I mean, he's got a little talent and size, but he's been very inconsistent in his, short career there in Green Bay. Valdez-Scantling's a guy that kind of, for that lack of a better way, takes the top off the defense, is more of a speed guy. He's not necessarily the guy that's going to work the middle of the field and do that element of the offense. So I think, Mike, I mean, that's the big question. That is. I mean, you're right about the Davante Adams thing. Let me just tell you that. Not only do they call the plays that makes him the first read in the offense to where, like, oh, we got this guy going this way, this guy going that way, just to get Davante Adams in the middle of all of it so he can be open and Rodgers can throw it to it. But, you know, to your point, when nobody is open or everything is equal, he just goes to Davante Adams because he's Aaron freaking Rodgers, and he just goes, oh, it doesn't matter. It's good coverage, but I'll put it in the spot. It doesn't matter who's covering him. We're going to make it happen, and that's where that connection's special. And Davante Adams got great hands that way. But hey, that's going to be the $1 million question tonight. Is this going to be Robert Tonyan finally getting back in the mix here, like legitimately, like we saw last year? I'll be interested to see what they do and where they go on the offensive side of the ball, that's for sure, because I think a lot of this Arizona defense, it's talented and creative, and I like, they force the issue. They really do.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.